Good afternoon, world. Kaino, the concerned citizen here. This video is a direct response to the most recent Civilian Overwatch Committee meeting for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department on June 4th. It was a virtual meeting, and I've been attending these meetings on and off for the last 2 years since my younger brother passed away in Los Angeles Sheriff's deputy's custody in the Twin Towers facility in downtown LA. And yeah, the June 4th meeting was the best meeting I've had the pleasure or had the opportunity to listen to, or I guess because of the way things are right now, and the riots, and some dude was killed, and I guess everybody decided to jump on that bandwagon and protest. So there was a lot of a lot of things were said during the meeting that were like I said, very very productive, promising. I understand that these, by the way, I'm going to try and keep this video short, 10 minutes. So I'm going to just go through a lot of information here. Yeah, the Civilian Overwatch Committee for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is it's a new organization. It was made right by written. I guess there's a law. There's the LA County Board of Supervisors brought it into existence by actually making a law that established it. And I think it was right after they did the Office of Inspector General. I think that was in 2016. The COC, which is Civilian Oversight Commission, was, I believe, established in 2017. So it's a fairly new organization, and like I said, there was a lot of things that were addressed that that is a work in progress, a very promising work in progress. And yeah, I'd like to go ahead and thank the Civilian Overwatch Commission staff for putting it on. Right, Jennifer is I guess one of the staff members there that hosts the online event, and I'd like to thank all the board members. For just being, for keeping the jokes and the giggling and the nonsense to a minimum. And they really were serious, and it was a somber affair. Unfortunately, there was not very many people spoke. Unlike other past meetings, there's which 5, 10, maybe 15 people speak per topic, and I guess the public only speaks only speaks on the topics or on the issues that are covered by the committee's I guess jurisdiction, and whatever's on the agenda for the day. Yeah, on June 4th, there at the end, I think there was, for one specific topic, there was like 80 people waiting to speak, and for another, there was like 100 people waiting to speak, and at 2 minutes per person. Yeah, I think I guess the chair of the panel, I think she made the right call by, saying that there's no way that was going to happen. Let's see, just some brief things here. Let's see. Regarding my brother's case, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department's, I guess, IT department finally updated their inmate information center. This is what the pages usually look like. As you can see, you can do the search yourself. Just type in the first name, right? Go to the inmate locator. Just type in first name, last name, the middle initial, and date of birth, and it'll pop up. And this is what it said for 2 years. And after, I guess, complaining, going to these meetings and letting them know for 2 years, on February 22nd, there was a meeting, or I think January 22nd. And I mentioned it, and I guess they updated it on January 25th, I believe. So like three days later. So that just goes to show that the Civilian Oversight Commission does have apparently weight, authority, even though it's just an advisory panel, right, or advisory committee, right, with no actual policy or rule, policy makers that for the department. But that right there is a good step. Unfortunately, as you can see here, where it says release no information, right? I printed this out on the 19th. So he had died on the, my brother was killed on January 20th or the 22nd, 2018, right? So it's set like this for 2 years. And although they updated it to reflect that he's actually deceased, they went about it doing it. I didn't print out the most recent one, but they went about it wrong. It actually says dead, like right here. It doesn't say deceased. It doesn't say. It doesn't. It's just a calloused, impersonal, just dead. Just big block letters and not cool. Not cool at all. That doesn't make anything. It doesn't make things right. It doesn't. He's been in the records for the last 2 years. I'm sure these law enforcement agencies, they get grants, they get funds, right? Per inmate, per head, per body, right? For the slippers, for the trousers, the shirt, the meals, and yeah. Okay, so it's been updated. I'd also like to go ahead and point out that there's another meeting, a town hall meeting here on the 11th. You see that, right? So yeah, I highly recommend for those of you who have a genuine interest, please attend. And don't just be like, the majority of the people I'm assuming are, they're just on the bandwagon for now. We'll see if they're still attending these meetings here in a couple months, in a year. The way I see it, I got 5-6 decades to go. So I do intend to make many of those monthly meetings. Okay, so now I'm going to get real personal here and just share some information here. I guess in the last meeting they said 14 people had died in jail. In the LA Sheriff's jurisdiction while in their jail facilities. And again, that's just the ones that are documented. That's the ones they're telling us about. Like my brother's case. It's not reflected. It doesn't show anywhere, right? Because they ruled it as self-inflicted nonsense. So this is just the paperwork, right, where he basically the last time he was in court, right? I think according to this citation here, right there, it's something about blocking traffic or being on the beach or just something trivial. And here's the date. He was arrested on the 9th. He was in court on the 12th. This is kind of weird that it was terminated. right? It was dismissed, proceedings terminated, yet he was dead 10 days later. He wasn't released. Why? Questions need to be answered. So again, we're going to get real personal here. During the summer that, this happened on on January 22nd. There we go. Well, first of all, this is the coroner's report. First off, right off the bat here, something that's very obvious. All his tattoos are not listed, right? According to this, he died down the street at the USC medical facility. The place of injury, keep in mind, they took his body off the premises, out of the Twin Towers jail facility, brain dead. So they took him down the street, they revived his body, right? And then he died again 4 days later. And that was them making a big show where my old man had to disconnect him from the machines. Nonsense. This dude right here, Woodruff, the detective in the homicide department, a liar. I kept reaching out on behalf of my family, my old man, mother, right? And he would just always tell me there's investigation. Well, a year to the day after this occurred, right? So on January 26, 2019, I gave him a call and I was like, hey, so what's the word? And he said, what are you talking about? We finished that investigation 2 months after the incident. I didn't say anything else. I just hung up. No point in talking to you. Irrational, ignorant, want to be clever people like that. Unethical, integrity violators. Okay. You see that, right? So right here, it goes on to say the decedent or decedent was brought from the jail to the hospital by ambulance, cardiac arrest after being found hanging. Right. You see, and this doesn't make sense. Hanging in his, no. Something about where he had wedged. All right, go on. He was blah blah blah. That's what they're saying, right? But no, they were just treating him a certain way. The decedent, right, the deceased or whatever, was found by deputies, blah, 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 wedged between the wall and a bunk bed with his chin resting on the top bunk. Nonsense. Those beds are made of concrete and they're directly attached to the wall. Again, he was admitted to the hospital with respiratory failure, brain injury, and tracheal injury, right? So, nonsense. I guess when they first they crushed his throat, and then some medical personnel in training, they like stuck some kind of tube to like open up his airway, and then they ended up blowing up his trachea or his throat right there. They crushed it and then blew it up. Despite life-saving measures, he was pronounced brain dead on the 26th. Nonsense. He was brain dead there. Just because they kept his oxygen going into his body, his heart kept pumping, right? They hooked him up to machines. No. He's pronounced dead for the second time. Wow, on the same day by different doctors. Nonsense. They should have pronounced him dead. But no, in doing this, they shifted their liability, their responsibility to the hospital, and then they actually blamed it on, gave the old man the opportunity to let him go. He was known to smoke and use illicit. That's just trying to discredit him. This right here, he's the history of bipolar schizoid. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. When they're trying to make you out to be like the crazy one. Yeah, my two brothers, hey, believe it or not, you would, if they're gonna do to my brothers, would you be surprised or shocked if they try to come at me that way? In fact, I'm actually here at the where my brother's buried, and I was arrested at his funeral, and there was like, I don't know, 11 deputies that showed up, and the lead deputy or whatever, just started like BSing. He started saying that you're gonna come with us because you're saying you're being suicidal. You're saying suicidal statements. I was like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? Like, because I was talking about going down into the hole after they put the casket down there to see my brother, because they wouldn't let me see him. No one would let me see him, and I was determined. I told him I'm gonna go down there and I'm gonna check it. Oh, there's too many people. All right, well, I'll just wait till it's dark. And then he started saying that I was trespassing, and I mean, at that point, and I was sipping some beers too. At that point, I was just like, what the hell are you talking about, guy? I was invited. Obviously, it was a funeral. Then he started saying that I was drunk in public. And at that point, I was just like, you idiot! This is private property. And we actually came to an agreement. I told him, I was like, hey, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. You do what you need to do. And that's when they said, all right, turn around, hands behind your back, and there's a whole bunch of people here, and no one came over this, no one. That's what happened. They say, oh, you're rocking the boat. You have to make a mountain out of a anthill. You have to, No, I'm not gonna let someone, talk to me in a condescending manner or BS me, or especially when they're in a professional capacity. All right, this is a real person right here. And during the summer of 2018, there were multiple incidents where the coroner's office failed miserably. If I recall correctly, there was some dude was found out here, like near Lake LA or whatever, burnt in a dumpster, and they called some lady and they told her they had found her son or whatever. Well, then they had to call her back and say, no, we found your son. He's actually in jail. He's not the burnt corpse in the dumpster. Another one was with an infant. I think they cremated an infant, and they had a lady, the mother show up or whatever. Then they had to call her again and notify her that, hey, they had cremated the wrong baby. Come back for the cremation of her baby. And, that's just two examples of the professional, the professionalism, the attention to detail of the staff there. So this, again, in this synopsis here, it's just basically them regurgitating what the deputies told them. They don't know that. All right, so here we go. And this dude right here reported this. And again, you see how they keep saying that? Suicide death. No, they killed him. Again, first thing, all his tattoos aren't on there, and that's a pretty significant thing. You just, if you were to see his mugshot, it's for a reason. It's a very blatant, in-your-face thing. So the place of injury right there, jail cell, blah, 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 place of death. No, again, this is wrong. All right. Blah, 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 blah. He was arrested on the 9th. And that's the day that that the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department finally took a stolen firearms report that I had been trying to report for like 2 years. What are the odds? Also, on the 19th, so 3 days before this, I was trying to go down there to see my brother, and they wouldn't let me see him. Side note, my other brother was in the same jail facility when the youngest one went in there and got killed. And my other brother told me what happened. Once, I guess, there was a death, right? Once an inmate dies there, I guess there's, they crack down, right? They went on lockdown or whatever. And he said that they came in there. Think about it. So they kill someone, right? And they realize, oh, his brother's in here. Let's go get him, take all his paperwork away, and let's throw him in isolation. This is all nonsense. There was no scene investigation by coroner personnel as this was a hospital death. Bull BS. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department's use of force policy, which is the same for deputy-related shootings or in-custody deaths, basically says that there has to be an investigation, a concurrent administrative and criminal investigation that's supposed to be done alongside the district attorney's office and I guess others. Did it happen? Did it happen? I think there's something in here about them saying how they went in there and did a they filmed. The deputies themselves walked in there with the camera. What, they left them, what, they choked them out, then propped them up, and then went in there and filmed, or and leaving it up to them to just investigate themselves. And then once this Woodruff character, right, the homicide detective, showed up, that POS right there, then they were just like, hey bro, how you been? I haven't seen you since since we were on the beat together, or since we were at the academy. We don't know. Conflict of interest. And another thing right here, right? There was a dark discoloration seen on the decedent's arms. The tattoos are mentioned here. Well, my old man went there with my younger sister, also a Marine, by the way, and they started, because he was in the hospital, right? And there was no deputies, nothing. So we went in there and they started taking pictures of his wrists, which were bruised, which are not on the autopsy report. And then they were threatened with arrest. And then they actually put 2 armed deputies outside his door to prevent anyone from going in there. Yeah, because they threatened my mother when she went in there, and she's like, I guess she told me, she's like, what are you guys doing? Like, is he a danger to yourself? To you guys, is he a danger to yourselves? Or so I went ahead and filed a I guess a claim, for grievance against our, this government agency, local government agency, on behalf of my family. And one of the stipulations is that you, if you want to file a grievance against a government agency, that it has to be within 6 months. Well, check it out. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, That's 6 months, right? From January 26th, again. And again, we could have used any different date, right? Any of the, I could have done it on the 19th or on the 22nd. I could have done it on the 26th, right? So 6 months to the day. Yet, so I went down to the county Board of Supervisors building, LA County Board of Supervisors, and they have like a little office right there. So one of their own attorneys, right there, Mary County Council, of course, conflict of interest right there, right? They're working for the county. Also, when I want to try to speak to the district attorney's office, or when I try to go speak to the ethics or the ethics office of the LA County, that dude, I mean, he knew exactly who I was when I called. And he goes, oh, I don't know if you're trying to actually contact the correct person. And I told him, dude, you are the person I'm trying to contact. And of course, he just condescendingly dismissed my concerns. So, I mean, check that out. I mean, what a mind just a twisted, you need to file it within 6 months after the event. Like how do I argue that? How do I? Also, the claim that you presented to the blah 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 on blah 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 as it pertains to activities occurring since is being investigated. On August. And it turns out there was no investigation being done because the investigation, according to Detective Woodruff, the homicide detective who was in charge of this, joke. According to him, the investigation was done in January, February, March. So it was done by March, but buried him before that. So there's more right here. I mean, just more autopsy report stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Witnessed the autopsy. Really? They sat there and watched my brother get all butchered, hacked, blah, 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 blah. All nonsense. Nonsense. And again, of course they're going to sit there and if they're... And my brother told me, if they've already choked you out 4 or 5 times, right? And they tell you, just like, Full Metal Jacket, that scene with the drill instructor, puts his hand in front of private pile and says, choke yourself. If you don't comply, you know exactly what you're gonna, what to expect. So, do you really think? Does the probability exist that deputies choke out inmates, and then, after instilling fear in them, right? They say, "Hey, choke yourself. Take that blanket, wrap it around your neck, tie it, and spin." Neck and body compression. How would body compression occur if you're not schizophrenic? I have absolutely no reason not to believe anything my brothers have to say. This is my little brother, Daniel. I remember my last conversations with both of my brothers. My other one in the middle, David, I remember I told him, right? We're out there, you know, we reside out there in northern LA County, right? West Nile Valley, and it takes 2 hours for, you know, emergency services to respond unless there's an active shooter or there's a fire. Or if someone else makes a hysterical phone call, you know, saying that, you know, one of the Arteaga boys is out here waving a firearm. It's your story. I mean, if I'm out there plinking, you know, one of the neighbors calls, and just because they, you know, they rub shoulders with the deputies, you know, they have coffee, and I know because I've sat there and observed the sheriff's deputies' SUV patrol car in the backyard of the neighbor for 2, 3, 4 hours. Again, so if they call the fire, you know, they call the sheriffs, or, you know, if I call the sheriffs and that same deputy shows up, how do you think that's going to go? It's way more than 10 minutes. And let me oh, even the what do you call it? There's an error with the I guess the driver that actually drove him. It says 2 different names. I think they just kind of just go through and they you know, fill in the the format. I mean, it's not like they're well, attorneys, you know, they're not scholars, right? It's not like they're having to draft everything up from scratch. I mean, they're, wow. Who knows how many years this person went to, you know, pursued a higher education just to bunch of numbers. Hang on. So, yeah, there's a discrepancy here with regarding the transporters. The one, you know, where he was actually transported. There's a bunch of discrepancies. You know, when you actually start analyzing the times, or like right here, for example, you know, last seen alive on the 21st. Yeah, over here we're talking about, where's the time again? The 22nd. Look at that. So this is a 24-hour discrepancy right here. So 10 p.m. on the 22nd, 21st. Again, and this is the professional, right? Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? That's the professional right there. I know he's a liar. You know, when he said, oh, approximately a year later, I called him, right? You know, why are you calling me? We finished that investigation 2 months after the fact. I mean, what did he investigate for a month after that date until March? What? But had no prior ideations or suicide attempt. What? Yeah. So yeah, they take him to the hospital, to the medical center, and they're just like, yeah, he did it himself. And then the doctors write it down. But there's more. My old man told me what happened. So when he showed up there, right, it wasn't a big scene like it was afterwards. And the doctors came and they told him that his neck was broken, that he was brain dead. And then I guess they had to, afterwards, other doctors had to come back and come over and speak to him and to tell him that, doctors aren't authorized to tell him what's going on, because it's not like, I guess, not a regular hospital. They're just the sheriff's doctors. And then right here where it says, this is just messed up right here. Issue donation was already addressed by a one legacy representative. Now, the probability, you can't say that there's absolutely no way. Probability exists, okay, that they wanted his body parts. And when they so they put the burden on my old man to disconnect my brother from all the machines, right, life support. And I guess there's people there like vultures. And my old man was like, no, you're not taking his body parts. And I think that was like kind of a dispute that mother and him had. And mother was all for it, and the old man was like, nope. And I guess it really was a big deal. They wanted his body parts bad. And so after, like, again, we see it was drawn out for 3 days, right? 4 days. Dang, 4 days. I guess he was, imagine the old man's just reality at the time. He said he'll do it as long as no one takes his body parts, and he told them that he was gonna sit there for hours until all his body parts died. And then what does the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department do? Just like when they showed up here in Mass. He told me it was him in a room with like 5, 10, 15 deputies. Imagine that. He said, he was telling me they made it seem like he was a bad guy, like he was gonna do something. What was he gonna do?